Start a reading journal, she said. It'll be easy, she said. Hey y'all, Beth here with Dots and Beyond, back again with another journal setup video. This time, let's set up my reading journal and do a quick review of this journal that I got from Beechmore books. Despite being a reader and having a degree in English literature, I've never kept a reading journal. In deciding to keep a reading journal, I had to find the right reading journal for me and the look that I wanted. I found it here with Beechmore books, and I'm trying to keep things simple with some printables, some washi tape, and some scrap paper. Alright, let's open her up and see what we have. Beechmore Books is a small company based in London, and this video is in no way sponsored by them. I actually purchased my journal off of Amazon. Here it comes with a calling card that reads, "Your intuition knows what to write, so get out of the way," which is a quote by American author Ray Bradbury. It is also wrapped up in this beautiful tissue paper, and I had several criteria when I went looking for this journal. I wanted it to have a vintage book feel, and so I chose this A5 hardcover vegan leather journal in chestnut brown, which I think is just beautiful. I also wanted a lower page count, a dot grid, medium weight paper, and no index or page numbers. And here in the front cover you can see there's not even a nameplate. It has these beautiful cream covered pages, which again I normally prefer bright white, but I wanted this to have that vintage book feel. I did measure the dot grid, and it is about 5 by 5 millimeters wide. The dots themselves are a medium darkness, not too light, not too dark. The book itself comes with one bookmark, a pocket in the back, which you can see I'm already utilizing, as well as the strap to keep it closed. The paperweight is 120 GSM, again, which is not too light and not too heavy, but I am going to start with doing a pen test in the back, so let's do that real quick. I do not intend to be doing any major artwork in this journal since I am using the printables that I made to get that art feel. So I am only going to be testing a few items here. The first one is a black Tombow dual brush pen. And here I'm checking to see if there is any bleed through, of which there is not. I will then check a gray Tombow, a brown Amazon Basics, which is a new set that I just picked up, and they're a little more stiff on the tip than a Tombow, and I'm actually enjoying those. A slate colored Crayola Super Tip, just in case I want to add some more color. A black Papermate Flair, which is often my everyday pen. They're very inexpensive. They're about $2 a piece. Of course, I will check a black Pigma Micron, as the fine liners I use all of the time. And then I'm also going to check a gold Uniball Signo gel pen, which is my go-to gel pen. We'll get the last of this gel pen on here, and then I will flip the paper over and check the back to see if we have any bleed, and of course there is not any shadowing at all. And then I'm going to do a quick smudge test with just the Papermate Flair and the Pigma Micron. Both of those absorbed into the paper very quickly. I did notice that the gold gel pen also dried very quickly, so it's not a heavily coated paper, and you do get great performance from those basic pens. And then I'm just labeling dual brush tip up here at the top, and that'll be it for my pen test. So let's flip back to the beginning of the journal, and I'm going to start right here on this very front page with my own designed nameplate and cover page. I drew my design inspiration from one of my favorite fun series right now, and that is the Invisible Library series by Genevieve Cogman. The Penguin Random House description reads, "Librarian Irene and her assistant Kai travel through time and dimensions, fighting supernatural creatures of chaos to track down the most important books in all the worlds." So I do have Irene and Kai here on my cover page, which I designed in Photoshop based on the book and then printed on a full sheet of sticker paper. This is a matte sticker paper, so you can also write on it in pen once it is placed into the journal. I also have Spotify playlists based off of the characters of Irene and Kai, and I will link those down below for you. Here I am putting in a quick index. I know I said I did not want this journal to have an index, but I decided to put one in of my own making. I don't think it needs to be very extensive. And then I am starting off my journal with the Goodreads 100 books that everyone should read in their lifetime. I simply wanted to have a physical representation of this list in my journal. There is a lot of drawing of teeny tiny boxes here, so we are going to jump ahead to having this completely filled out. And here we go. I certainly have a lot of thoughts about this list. The gray boxers are the ones that I have read. I think there is a little too much Harry Potter on this list. There are 4 of those books on here. I am a big Harry Potter fan. I love the entire series, but you certainly could have put the first one in or the last one in and then filled in with 3 additional novels of choice. I will certainly link to this list in the description box below. On the next page, I am starting with a quote from the Invisible Library series, and it reads, "The atmosphere of the place soothed her soul automatically. The rich lantern lights, the sheer scent of paper and leather, and the fact that everywhere she looked there were books, books, beautiful books." Again, I designed this in Photoshop and then printed it on sticker paper like most everything else that I am using in today's setup. And then on the right, I wanted to have a haul page to track how I receive books, whether I'm buying them, where they are gifted to me, and what format they are coming in. Next up is a spread for me to track new releases. I'm a very mood-driven reader and don't necessarily track hotly anticipated releases as they're coming out. So I only gave myself about 3 spots per month to write things in. Most of the time it's a very specific series that I'm looking for, like the Invisible Library series, which just got a new release in December. But I did want to go ahead and have something in here to write those down if I know when something is coming out. And of course, the large letters stand for the beginning letter of each of the months. A few final touches with a Tombow to give the page a little bit of depth. It's a very light gray, and we're moving on to my goals. I have set very modest goals for 2021. I still work full-time as an event manager, which can be very demanding. And so I have set my reading goal as 50 books. And I will put 50 squares over on the left to represent that. My other goals, again, to read 50 books, to do a Jane Austen reread, which I'm going to do in order of release, which I've never done before. I am going to start the Witcher series. My 21 and 21 will be from my unread shelf project, and then I have set up a women's inspired bingo challenge for myself. Not only did I inadvertently make 51 boxes here instead of 50, but this is the moment that I realized that my title on the right says 21 and 21 instead of goals. Here's my 21 and 21, thinking I'm moving forward, realizing something is wrong, and flipping back to realize that I stuck in the wrong header. And there's the correct header. No, this is not how this is supposed to go. Pardon me while I go print a new goals header. And I'm back, and it's fixed. So this is the pre-printed goals header that I made. And then I printed another 21 in 21, this time just on regular paper to save on sticker paper, and I will stick it in with the rolling glue tape. Moving on to do a spread for my 21 in 21. Again, these are all from my bookshelf. They are unread books that I have on my shelf, which is an embarrassingly long list. Again, I am a very mood-driven reader, but for 21, I did make myself stand in my personal library and select 21 books that I need to get knocked off my list. The book covers measure 5 dot grid spaces wide by 8 dot grid spaces high, and again I printed those on sticker paper as well. This was actually a fairly tedious process to get those all peeled out and stuck in, but ultimately it's a very rewarding look. I've seen other creators do this and thought maybe I would follow suit, and then I changed my mind and then I came back to it, but ultimately I do like the way that they look in here. When I do finish a book, I will come along with my gold gel pen and just put a little star on it to indicate that it was completed. Next up, I debated whether to track number of pages read or number of chapters read. Ultimately, I decided to do a chapter tracker and use a year in pixels format to do that, so I am setting that up here. My guide will be less than 5 chapters a day, 5 to 10 chapters a day, 11 to 15 a day, 15 plus a day, or regardless of chapters read, I will color in gold gel pen a day that I finish a book. And of course the months are across the top and the days of each month are down the right side. Picking a little bit of artwork here. To find free artwork on the internet, you can check Unsplash or Pixabay. Those are my 2 favorites. And then here on the right, I am going to set up a series tracker. Most of these are going to be attached to series that I'm possibly going to start in 21. The one big one that I need to get back to is Outlander. I have not read books 7 or 8, and of course 9 is going to be coming out, I guess, fairly shortly. I am also a fan of the television series, but I started the books long before the TV series became a thing, and then I just kind of fell off the wagon. But now the television show's about to catch up to me, so I've got to get on it. Next up is a spread for my 2 personal challenges. The one of them, the rereading of Jane Austen. Again, my degree is in English literature, so I'm a pretty big fan of Jane. I am probably going to do the Jane Austen with audiobooks because I've read all of the others so many times in a physical form, Persuasion being one of my top 5 books of all time. And then on the right, I'm setting up a bingo challenge. This is comprised of a lot of different challenges I found around the internet, and I kind of just picked the ones that I liked the best, but it's meant to get me to break out of my shell. I read a lot of fantasy and a lot of historical fiction and a lot of classics, again, that whole English literature thing. And so this has got things like set in my travel wish list, or a book about being single, or a book recommended by a friend, those types of things to get me to do something a little different. And here you see me setting up my bookshelf. Y'all, I debated about doing this bookshelf. I wasn't sure I wanted to draw a bookshelf. I didn't think it necessarily fit with my vibe. Ultimately, I decided to put one in, and I found a blog post on My Inner Creative that I will link down below, and there are 2 creators specifically that I recreated from. So one of those is Joyful Journey on Instagram, and this round window that I'm going to draw in here is a definitive recreation of her work, so I want to make sure that we credit her down below. And then the hanging lights on the left come from another Instagram creator, and I will also link her work down below. Ultimately, I like the way that this came out. I'm going to leave it black and white for now. I might use it kind of as a coloring page and just color things in as I see fit, or as I'm filling in the book titles that I finish throughout the year. As I was doing the fine lining of my sketch, I did realize I had only included 21 books, not 50, 21. And so I had to find other places to fit in additional books to get to a total of 50 for my goal. And because I do want to branch out on this next spread, I am putting a genre tracker on the left, and then on the right is a quote from my favorite modern author, who is Neil Gaiman, and that quote is, "Things need not have happened to be true. Tales and adventures are the shadow truths that will endure when mere facts are dust and ashes and forgotten." Next up is a very simple spread for me to track watching adaptations that were based on books. I will simply track title, the year that adaptation was made, the format in which I watched it, whether it's film or TV, a star rating on a scale of 1 to 5, and then the date that I watched it. All of those other spreads are a lot of fun to set up, but I really wanted to keep a reading journal to track what I'm reading and how I feel about what I'm reading. So this is just going to be a simple list of books as I finish them, and then I'm moving on to my review pages. And my review pages are half a page per book, and I will simply have the name of the book, the author, the genre, the page number, the date that I finished it, the format that the book was in, and then I've left myself a big square on the bottom right to put down any of my thoughts about the book, and then a small square in the top left, again where I can print out a book cover and actually put the cover of that book next to the review as well. In conjunction with this reading journal, I'm hoping to beef up my Goodreads page, which I have just kind of left alone ever since I signed up, so we'll see if I can get those to work together. And here is the final flip through of my reading journal setup. Again, this is a Beechmore Books A5 hardcover vegan leather journal in Chestnut Brown. Ultimately, I really like this journal. I would definitely recommend it for somebody who wants a thinner journal with not as many pages, and of course that has a medium weight paper. This is not going to hold up to any heavy artistic. My purchase price, I got mine off of Amazon for $12.95. It was on sale, but I think it normally runs $18 or $19 US. I want to thank y'all for coming along on this setup ride. If you have not yet, please take the time to go ahead and subscribe down below and click that little button, turn your notifications on. This is a growing channel, and while it is a passion project, I would love to have more of you join this community. This reading journal is more than just a tracker for me. I have actually been going through a little bit of book burnout in recent years, and setting this up has made me very excited to get back into reading at a pace that I used to read. I continued to buy books, but I wasn't necessarily reading them, and so again my unread shelf project is quite hefty, and there's a lot of physical books that I have to get through in the next few years. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever experienced anything like book burnout. I simply couldn't focus. I would have a book in my hand, I would read the same paragraph 5 times over, and it was a really trying time for me because I love reading so much. So I am excited to just be excited about reading again, and wanted to share this reading journal with you. I certainly don't intend to jump full-time into BookTube. That's not something that I want to do, but I did want you to see how I set up my journal, how I'm going to be tracking my books in 2021. This little journal might actually last me for 2 years, even though it's only 112 pages. I'm not quite sure that I will completely fill it up in 2021, so we'll have to stay tuned to see if it makes it through 2022 as well. Flipping through, yes, I think it's very possible that this might make it to 2022. Thank you so much for watching. This journal community is the best. Bye, y'all.